the herbal tonic at twilight. An herbalist prepares a steaming tonic of chamomile and mint as the day fades. The air grows cooler, the light through the trees turns to gold and amber, and the sounds of the forest come alive with the evening chorus. The herbalist's gnarled hands move with practiced grace, measuring out dried herbs and flowers into a mortar and pestle. Each ingredient has been carefully chosen for its healing properties and soothing scent. As the sun dips below the horizon, the herbalist adds the final touch to their tonic, a sprig of fresh mint. The steam rises, carrying with it the scent of relaxation and tranquility. It's a moment of peace in an otherwise hectic world. Close your eyes and take a deep breath, letting the aroma envelop you. Feel the tension draining from your muscles, your mind growing still. This is the power of herbs, a gift from nature to help us heal and find comfort. In the old medieval times, healers relied on herbs to treat ailments and ease suffering. They understood the healing power of plants, using them to soothe the body and calm the mind. Tonight, we honor that tradition by preparing a tonic of chamomile and mint, two herbs known for their calming properties. Chamomile has been used for centuries to promote relaxation and sleep. Its daisy-like flowers have a subtle yet powerful effect on the nervous system, helping to alleviate anxiety and tension. As the herbalist infuses the chamomile into the boiling water, the room fills with a sweet, hay-like aroma. This is the scent of calm, a reminder to slow down and breathe deeply. Let the steam carry you away to a place of tranquility, where worries and stress melt away. Mint, too, has a long history of use in healing. Its refreshing scent and flavor have a cooling effect on the body, soothing headaches and clearing the mind. The herbalist adds a few mint leaves to the tonic, their vibrant green color contrasting with the golden glow of the steam. As the mint is infused, its aroma mingles with the chamomile to create a unique, calming fragrance. Take a moment to appreciate the beauty of the steam rising before you. Each curl and wave carries with it the essence of the herbs, their healing energy ready to envelop you. Inhale deeply, letting the scent fill your lungs and bring a sense of peace to your mind. Feel the tension in your shoulders ease as the steam nourishes your tired muscles. Imagine the ancient healers using these same herbs, brewing tonics just like this one to help heal and comfort their patients. Now, my friend, it's time to take your tonic. Pour it into a mug, its warmth radiating soothing energy into your hands. The steam continues to rise, beckoning you to relax and unwind. Bring the mug to your lips and sip slowly, savoring the herbal flavors mingling on your tongue. With each sip, you'll feel a sense of calm wash over you, grounding you in the present moment. Let the gentle flavors guide you into the evening, a tranquil companion as the day slips away into dreams. Tonight, allow yourself to fully relax, to let go of the day's worries and tension. Embrace the soothing embrace of the herbal tonic, allowing it to guide you into a peaceful night's rest. Dream sweet dreams, my friend, and may the healing power of herbs be with you always. And so ends our tale of the herbalist and their soothing tonic. If you enjoyed this magical journey, don't forget to stay tuned for more enchanting stories. Until next time, may the magic of herbs and the wonder of storytelling be with you always. In the quiet of his tent, a knight carefully polishes his armor piece by piece. Share how real medieval armor was lined with linen for comfort, and let the soft scrape of cloth on metal soothe the mind. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to do something a little bit different. I have a very limited amount of time to work on this video, So, I'm just gonna sit down and talk to you for a few minutes about a piece of clothing that I think is really interesting. But not only that, it has some connections to the Italian Renaissance and the general period in which we're studying right now. And because I'm also obsessed with the Netflix show The Last Kingdom, this piece of clothing takes on even more meaning for me because they made such a big deal about it in the show. But before I get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this one. And if you really like what I'm doing, consider supporting me through the link in the description below. With that said, let's get started. Okay, so the thing that I want to talk about today is this: chain mail. Now, chain mail may sound like something that's only found in fantasy books or in The Lord of the Rings, but the truth is, this was an everyday garment for many people for centuries across the world. In fact, we're talking roughly from the 5th century up until the 16th century that chainmail was a common piece of equipment for soldiers and nobility. And when I say chainmail, I don't just mean the classic shirt of mail. There were all kinds of garments made out of interlinked metal rings. And of course, these were made by artisans who specialized in working with metal. Because chainmail was so practical, it could be made into any number of shapes. So we find examples of helmets and gloves and even shoes made out of chainmail. However, none of these were made without a special loom. And because of the expense and the difficulty in making chainmail, each piece was very carefully crafted. It wasn't just mass-produced. Sometimes entire communities would be involved in the creation of chainmail for local lords or kings. And while we might think of chainmail as noisy and uncomfortable in reality, especially when it was used for longer periods of time, it was often lined with a sort of quilted linen to make it softer against the skin. In fact, during the medieval period, linen was a very popular fabric to use as a sort of middle layer between the body and armor. It was soft and breathable and helped to absorb sweat and moisture. So not only did linen help keep the wearer cool, but it also kept their skin from getting chafed raw by the repeated rubbing of the armor. In addition, linen was often treated with oils or other substances to make it even more flexible. This would have been especially useful for things like chainmail shirts, where the metal rings needed to move and flex with the body. But let's go back to that quote at the beginning of the video. In the quiet of his tent, a knight carefully polishes his armor piece by piece. One of the most important parts of caring for your armor was regularly oiling and polishing it to prevent rust from forming. But even more importantly, it was a chance for the knight to take stock of his equipment, to check for weak spots or repairs that needed to be done. For a knight, his armor was not just a tool of war, but a symbol of his status and power. And when the armor was well maintained, it gleamed like a second skin, a testament to its owner's wealth and military prowess. It was a ritual that demanded patience and care, much like the art of weaving a tapestry or composing a sonnet. Each plate and joint was lovingly rubbed and polished until it shone like a mirror. The rhythmic scrape of cloth on metal echoed softly within the tent, a soothing melody to the knight's ears, a lullaby that whispered tales of past victories and future triumphs. Thank you for watching. I know that was a little bit different than my normal videos, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe and leave me a comment letting me know that you like this type of content. I'm trying to figure out how to best serve you guys, my audience, and I need your help to do that. So let me know what you think. I will see you next time. This piece is called The Minstrel's Evening Lute, and it was inspired by a painting by the Spanish artist Joaquin Sorolla. It's a beautiful painting. It just has this really peaceful, calming feel to it. And that's what I wanted to capture in the music. There's a man sitting in a chair. He's an old minstrel, I guess you could say, or a traveling musician. He's holding a lute in his hands and he's sitting next to a fire. There's some logs there that are burning. There's some nice warm light coming off of them. He's got a little bit of a smile on his face. His eyes are closed. He's just enjoying the moment. And the light is just kind of wrapping around him. It's very, very calming. And there's something about this image that just really spoke to me, that made me want to write music for it. In fact, when I was writing this piece, I was thinking about how medieval bards would carry stories across the lands. They would travel from town to town and they would play their instruments and sing songs about the people and the places that they had been. And so I thought it would be interesting if this minstrel, this traveling musician, was sitting around the fire at night, maybe after a long day of traveling, just relaxing, enjoying the peacefulness of the moment, reflecting on the stories that he's collected over the years, the different people he's met, the places he's been, the songs he's heard. And he's just taking this time to himself to remember all of those things. And the idea of a minstrel or a bard is something that I've always been really interested in because they were kind of like the storytellers of their time, right? They would keep these stories alive through song and through poetry. And so I think that's really, really cool. So while I was writing this piece, I was thinking about how the lute would be the perfect instrument to evoke that sense of peacefulness. The lute is a stringed instrument, of course, but it's a little bit different from something like a guitar. The strings are a little bit thinner, they're tuned a little bit higher, and it has this very delicate, refined sound that I think really captures the feeling of this painting. I also wanted to make sure that the overall feel of the piece was peaceful and calming, so I chose to write it in a major key. It's a simple melody. It's not too fast, not too slow. It's just kind of like a gentle, flowing melody that just kind of washes over you. If you listen closely, you can hear some of the different elements that I'm using to create this sense of peacefulness. For example, I'm using a lot of sustained chords. These are chords that are held for a little bit longer than you might be used to, and that creates this sense of calm and stillness. I'm also using a lot of legato, which means that the notes should be played smoothly and connectedly. Again, that just adds to the overall feeling of peacefulness. And finally, I think the dynamics are really important in this piece. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't too loud because that would be jarring and it wouldn't feel as peaceful. So it's a very soft piece overall. There are a few moments where it does get a little bit louder, but for the most part, it's very, very soft. As you listen to this piece, I want you to imagine yourself in this same scene. Close your eyes and picture yourself sitting next to a fire on a log, listening to this minstrel play his lute. Let the firelight dance in your eyes. Feel the warmth of the flames, and let the gentle strum of the strings ease you into a state of calm and peace. Let the music wash over you and take you to this peaceful place. Thanks for listening. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe to support my work. Thanks. This piece is called The Potter's Clay at Sunset. I wrote it after reading an article about a traditional Japanese potter who works in a very old style. I was struck by the image of this old man working alone in his small village, making simple pottery by hand at the end of each day. I could almost feel the cool evening air on my skin and hear the rhythmic sound of the pottery wheel as I read the article. And so this poem is an attempt to capture that moment just as the sun sets and the potter, his hands move with slow purpose, creating another vessel for someone's humble home. When I learned that this image had inspired a poem, the wonderful artist Litany Black offered to make an art piece based on it. This is her work. The original poem is up on the screen, and here's another version, one that focuses more on the physical sensations of the scene. At the edge of a village, a potter shapes clay with slow hands as the sun lowers. The scent of wood smoke and clay mingle on the breeze, carrying whispers of ancient craft. the rhythmic scrape of tool on wheel, a steady pulse in the hush of the fading day. Each curve and contour, a silent prayer, a wish for vessels to hold the warmth of hearth and home. As the last rays of sunlight touch his weathered face, he pauses, letting the moment's peace settle deep within. For in the shaping of clay, he finds a solace that echoes the quiet dignity of twilight. And when the final piece is complete, he lets the wheel spin one last time, its slowing rhythm echoing the lullaby of the evening stars. So, let's take a closer look at some of these images and the language that creates them. At the edge of a village, a potter shapes clay with slow hands as the sun lowers. We begin with setting the scene. A potter working at the edge of a village at sunset, and right away we get a sense of place and time. The details are spare but effective. A potter, a simple figure working with a simple tool. The edge of a village hinting at a community but also a connection to nature. And then the most important element, the hands of the potter moving slowly, shaping the clay as the sun begins its slow descent. The word lowers in this line is a nice touch. It's not just that the sun is going down, it's actually lowering in the sky. It gives a sense of movement to the heavens themselves. And the repetition of slow in both slow hands and slow descent emphasizes the deliberate, almost meditative pace of the scene. Each curve and contour, a silent prayer, a wish for vessels to hold the warmth of hearth and home. This is such a lovely image. The curves and contours of the pottery taking on a life of their own, becoming a silent prayer or a wish. What a beautiful way to express the devotion and care that goes into each piece. And then the idea that these vessels will hold the warmth of hearth and home connects the physical object to the emotional center of a community. As the last rays of sunlight touch his weathered face, he pauses, letting the moment's peace settle deep within. Now the focus shifts to the potter himself. The line breaks introduce a slight urgency, as if the scene itself is unfolding in real time. The last rays of sunlight touching his weathered face. There's a sense of time passing, of the day nearly done. And in that moment he pauses, not just from the physical labor, but also from the thoughts and worries of the world. It's a rare moment of stillness, of connection between man and nature, between past and present. And finally, and when the final piece is complete, he lets the wheel spin one last time, its slowing rhythm echoing the lullaby of the evening stars. The poem ends with a final image that ties together the themes of movement and stillness, the slowing rhythm of the wheel echoing the lullaby of the evening stars. It's a peaceful ending to a peaceful scene. The wheel has been a constant throughout the poem, and now its rhythm mirrors the rhythm of the universe itself. And the stars, of course, are a reminder of the timeless beauty of the natural world. They've been watching over the potter and his craft for as long as they've been watching over the earth. And that's the potter's clay at sunset. I hope you enjoyed this poem and that you're able to find some of its magic in your own life. Until next time, thanks for watching. What is this about the way that we communicate that has changed so dramatically in the last 100 years? The invention of the printing press 500 years ago was revolutionary. It allowed us to mass-produce books, which led to the democratization of knowledge, the scientific method, the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, and our current predicament. But before that, books were rare and precious objects made by hand. And there was no greater craftsmanship involved in making books than in the scriptorium of an abbey. In the Middle Ages, monks lived communally in these places. They took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. They prayed for the salvation of their souls and also for the souls of the wealthy patrons who funded their luxurious workshops. Some abbeys were so wealthy that they became centers of art and learning, producing beautiful books that are among the greatest treasures of world history. Welcome to the series. Today, we are going to visit a scriptorium and find out how monks made some of the most beautiful books ever. Now, the action is slow and deliberate. First, one monk grinds the pigment from lapis lazuli, an ultramarine blue that will be used in the borders of the page. He pours the pigment into a small dish, then adds a few drops of water and uses a small pestle to grind it into a fine powder. Slowly but surely, the pigment is released from the stone, and the water turns a lovely shade of blue. This process of grinding pigments would have been done earlier in the day, perhaps by another scribe, and then saved for when the pigment was needed. Another monk carefully peels back the backing from a sheet of gold leaf, taking great care not to tear or puncture the fragile material. Gold leaf is incredibly thin, just a few molecules thick. It's so delicate that it can be torn by almost any implement, including fingernails and even clothing. A good gold leaf can be worth quite a bit of money, so the monks are careful not to waste any. Now, a third monk takes a quill and dips it into an ink bottle. Then he begins to write on a sheet of vellum, the Latin word for book. Vellum is made from the skins of young animals, usually calves, and is prized for its durability and flexibility. Sheets of vellum are expensive, so scribes take great care not to waste them. These three monks are engaged in the same task, creating a beautiful book. But their actions are very different. One is focused on the details, carefully grinding pigment or peeling back gold leaf. Another is more deliberate and precise, writing with a quill on a sheet of vellum. Their different tasks require different skills and attention, but all are equally important. The scene is silent except for the scratching of the quill on the vellum. There is a deep sense of calm and focus in the air. The monks are not just making a book, they are creating a work of art. Each page is a masterpiece, a testament to their skill and devotion. Hours pass and the sun begins to set. The last rays of daylight stream through the windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. The monks continue their work, oblivious to the passage of time. For them, there is no urgency, no need to hurry. They are in no rush to finish the book. They know that it will last for centuries, that it will be treasured for its beauty and craftsmanship. When the book is finished, it will be placed in a monastery library where it will be used for centuries to come. It will be read by monks and scholars, and its beauty will inspire awe and wonder. Now, imagine yourself in this scene. You are a monk in a scriptorium, bent over your work table creating a beautiful book. The only sounds are the scratching of your quill on the vellum and the soft murmur of prayers from the other monks. The flickering candlelight casts long shadows on the walls, and the scent of incense fills the air. You are lost in your work, oblivious to the outside world. You are a part of something bigger than yourself, a community of monks dedicated to creating beautiful works of art. You may be just one among many, but your work is vital to the creation of the book. Without you, the pages would remain blank, the gold leaf useless, the pigments unused. You are an essential part of this sacred community, and you take pride in your work. You are a monk in a scriptorium, and you are creating a masterpiece. Thank you for watching. Hello, friends. Welcome to the channel. A very special guest is with me today, a celebrity. He is famous for playing the character of a ruthless yet noble Viking warrior on a popular TV show. He also played the role of a ferocious yet honorable samurai in a movie. He is an actor who can make any role his own, and when he speaks, it's like magic. His voice resonates with power and wisdom. But today, he is here to share not just his acting skills, but also his passion for a sport that has been part of his life for many years. Yes, my friends, today we are going to talk about fishing. And now, I invite you all to sit back and relax while we listen to the tale spun by the renowned actor. It was an evening much like any other in the village by the sea. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a sky painted with hues of orange and purple. The air was still. The waves whispered secrets to the shore, and the only sound that dared to break the silence was the gentle strumming of a lone guitar. Beside a moonlit river, a fisherman casts his net with quiet care. Murmur about how medieval fishing nets were woven from flax, and let the gentle lap of water against wooden boats lull the listener. It was then that the old man noticed him, a young boy with eyes full of wonder and curiosity, watching him by the riverbank. The old man smiled, for he knew the boy's innocent gaze was not just observing a simple fishing net, but was actually witnessing a piece of history. You see, this was no ordinary net. It was a relic from a bygone era, a whisper from the past. Its sturdy frame and tightly woven mesh spoke of countless hours spent on the water, of battles fought against the currents and the tides, and of the unwavering patience required to master the art of fishing. As the boy watched, mesmerized, the old man began to speak. His voice, like the lapping of waves on a summer's day, carried tales of a time when fishing was not just a livelihood, but a way of life. "This net," he said, his eyes twinkling with the wisdom of years, "is more than just a tool. It's a connection to our ancestors, a tangible link to those who sailed these waters before us." The boy listened intently, his young mind soaking up the old man's words like a sponge. He learned of how the Vikings, with their seafaring expertise, would cast nets even in the harshest of seas, hauling in their bounty with the strength born of necessity and skill. He heard of the Japanese samurai, not just fierce warriors but also patient anglers who found solace in the stillness of a quiet lake. As the night deepened, the old man shared stories of legendary catches, of epic struggles between man and fish, and of the respect and reverence they held for the bounty of the sea. The boy, his eyes shining with newfound understanding, realized that fishing was more than just a pastime. It was a dance, a conversation between human and nature, a test of patience, skill, and above all, a celebration of life itself. With the first rays of dawn touching the horizon, the old man finished his tale. Looking at the boy, he saw not just a wide-eyed child, but a budding fisherman, a young soul ready to embrace the timeless traditions of his ancestors. Friends, this was the story of the fisherman's night net. Do you find the story interesting? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you like the video, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your loved ones. Also, if you want to be a part of our journey and never miss out on any of our future updates, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Once again, thanks for watching the video. Hello, friends. On a hillside, a shepherd hums softly as sheep settle beneath the stars. Settle down now. Listen to the gentle breeze rustling the wool of the sheep as they settle in for the night. The shepherd is playing an old wooden flute, one of the simplest of instruments. Yet the notes he coaxed from it were music to the ears of anyone who heard him. Shepherds have been playing these flutes for thousands of years. The oldest ones we found were made 8,000 years ago, but they're still around today. You can find them in all kinds of places. There's one in the British Museum that was found in an old tomb, and there's another one at the Pierpont Morgan Library in New York City. There's something about the sound of this instrument that just seems to echo with age. It's a sound that seems to come from a time before recorded history, from a simpler time when life was harder, but maybe a little easier too. A time when people lived closer to nature and when the stars seemed brighter in the night sky. Settle down, my little lambs, and listen to the music of the spheres. Let the rustle of wool and the cool night air calm your senses. Imagine yourself lying on a soft bed of grass, the scent of wildflowers all around you. Above you, the Milky Way stretches like a river of stars. The Big Dipper hangs low in the eastern sky, and the bright stars of summer are just beginning to peek over the horizon. In the distance, you hear the lowing of a cow, the bleating of a sheep, and the sound of crickets chirping their eternal song. The night is warm, but a gentle breeze keeps you from getting too hot. And as the hours pass, the music of the spheres seems to grow louder. This is the song of the universe, a song that has been sung for billions of years. It is a song of creation, of galaxies and stars being born, of planets forming and life beginning. It is a song of death, too, of stars going out like old candles, of planets being destroyed and life coming to an end. It is a song of hope, though, too, of new life beginning after death, of new stars being born from the ashes of old ones, and of new planets being formed from the dust of dying stars. It is a song that has been sung for billions of years, and it will continue to be sung long after we are gone. So lie back and relax, little lambs. Let the music of the spheres wash over you and carry you away to a time before recorded history, to a time when life was simpler, when the world was younger, and when the stars seemed brighter in the night sky. Here in the stillness of the night, with the gentle breeze and the soft music of the spheres, you can feel the presence of something greater than yourself. You can feel the pulse of the universe, the heartbeat of creation. And in that moment, you know that you are part of something bigger than yourself, that you are connected to all living things, and that you are truly alive. So lie back and relax, little lambs, and enjoy the music of the spheres. Let it fill you with peace and joy, and let it remind you of the beauty of the universe and the wonder of life. Thank you for listening. Now close your eyes and go where the music takes you. As twilight falls, a blacksmith sets down his hammer and lets the forge cool. The rhythmic clang that has echoed through the valley for hours is stilled. Only the hiss of steam and the crackle of glowing embers remain. In the fading light, a lone traveler approaches, dusty and weary from his journey. He looks in through the open front of the shop and sees the blacksmith with his back to him, gazing into the dying fire. The embers are glowing red in the darkening twilight, and sparks drift up and out like dying embers of a far more brilliant fire. With a sigh, the traveler steps inside, disturbing the quiet. The blacksmith turns around slowly, wiping his hands on a leather apron. His face is lined and weathered, his eyes as bright and keen as steel. In the silence that follows, he gestures to the bench outside the shop with a nod. The traveler sits, and for a time there is only the quiet crackling of the forge and the whisper of the wind through the trees. Then the traveler speaks, his voice raspy from disuse. "Will you shoe my horse, Master Smith?" The blacksmith nods again and reaches for his hammer. As he does, the full extent of his limp becomes apparent. He moves stiffly, his knee buckling under his weight. The traveler watches him for a moment, then asks, "What happened to you, Master Smith?" At the question, the blacksmith hesitates. He looks down at his feet, his face creased in thought. Then, as if making a decision, he tells the story of how he came to be known as the Last Hammer. He begins with the clang of hammer on steel, the hiss of water on hot iron, and the ring of the anvil as he worked his craft. He was young then, barely older than the traveler before him, and his forge was as hot as the sun. All around him were the tools of his trade, each one as important to him as a friend. There were the bellows that fed air to his forge, the sturdy leg vise that held his work steady, the long nose pliers that nipped and twisted, the flat and cross-peen hammers that pounded and shaped. And above it all hung the mighty sledge, its broad face shining like a mirror. Then came the day when all that changed. The mountain pass had been closed by heavy snowfall and trade was slow. Winter was coming, and worry gnawed at him. He needed work. Desperate times called for desperate measures. So when an order came to make shoes for a king's destrier, a magnificent black horse that pulled the royal carriage, he did not hesitate. He put every ounce of skill and magic he possessed into the shoes. He worked through the night, fueled by fear and ambition, until they were done. The next morning, he sent his apprentice out to deliver them. The boy returned with a pouch of gold heavier than he could have hoped for. It was good work. The king was pleased, and soon the whole kingdom knew of the young blacksmith who made shoes so good they rang like a bell. People came from far and wide to have their horses shod by the last hammer, and he was content. Then one day another order came, this time from the king's brother, a cruel and grasping man who wanted to buy the last hammer's favor. But he refused. The order was unreasonable, the price too high. He would not be bartered with. He would not bend. And so the prince had him stripped of his tools, his legs broken, his forge cold. And when the people came for his shoes, he was gone. They say the prince took the young smith's magic and used it to corrupt others. He became known as the Black Prince. And the blacksmith, well, no one knew what became of him. That is, until now. The blacksmith looks up, meeting the traveler's gaze directly. "I've waited a long time for someone to ask me that," he says, his voice hoarse from disuse. "I thought perhaps no one would ever know my story, that it would die with me. But you have asked, and I will tell you." He pauses, looking back into the embers. "So listen well, for I have learned much in the passing years. And though I am old and my bones ache, my spirit is still young. The fire may have gone out of my forge, but it burns bright within me still." The traveler sits in silence, taking in the old smith's words. When the last echo fades away, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small pouch, just as the blacksmith did all those years ago. He opens it, and inside are 2 perfect horseshoes, wrought with such skill that they ring like a bell. He lays them on the bench before the smith. "I am no king," he says, "but I have need of a horse to carry me on my travels. Will you shoe him for me?" The blacksmith reaches out and takes the shoes. As he examines them, a smile touches his lips. The fire in his eyes rekindled. He looks up at the traveler and nods. "Aye," he says, "I think I can do that." And so the old smith got to work, and the traveler waited patiently, knowing that when his horse was shod, he would set out once more into the night, forever in debt to the last hammer.